Okay, so you know how sometimes you just wish you could, like, disappear instead of having to make small talk?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like you'd rather blend in than stand out.
Exactly. So we're doing a deep dive today on how to feel more confident socially.
Sounds good to me.
We've got 3 articles here with different takes on it, quick tips, body language, even one that gets into social anxiety.
Interesting. What I find fascinating is they all seem to agree that there's no one-size-fits-all solution. It's more like having different tools you can
Right,
use.
like building a confidence toolkit or something.
Uh,
And maybe the first tool is dealing with that inner voice, the one that tells you you're going to mess everything up.
oh, absolutely. One article called it the mind monkey, which I thought was pretty clever. It's like this little creature that just swings in and messes with your head.
Totally. Like, it's not even really you, it's this separate thing causing trouble.
Right. And the article made a good point that everyone has that voice to some extent. The key is how much we listen to it.
Instead of letting it control us, we can choose to think differently.
Exactly. For example, instead of, oh God, I'm going to sound so dumb if I say anything, try shifting it to, you know what? Everyone has something to offer, including me.
It's subtle, but it changes the whole vibe, right?
It really does. And it's connected to something else we found in the Skills You Need article, body language. They talked about faking it till you make it, especially with posture.
Wait, really? I've heard that, but it always seemed kind of hokey to me.
I know, right? But apparently, even if you're feeling awkward, standing up straight with your shoulders back can actually change your brain chemistry.
Seriously. How does that even work?
Well, it has to do with hormones. Like when you stand confidently, it lowers cortisol, which is the stress hormone, and it can boost dopamine, which is the feel-good hormone.
So even if my brain is freaking out, my body's sending out these signals like, we're good, we're good.
Exactly. And speaking of signals, there's this thing called the 738-55 rule, which the BetterHelp article talked about. Have you heard of that?
73855. Nope, lay it on me. What's that all about?
So this rule, it comes from a psychologist named Albert Mehrabian. And it's wild. Basically, it says that only 7% of communication is the actual words we're saying.
Get out of here. 7%. So all that time I spend thinking about what I'm going to say is kind of pointless.
Well, not totally.
Yeah.
But it does make you think, right? Turns out our tone of voice matters way more, like 38%. And the biggest chunk, 55%, is body language.
Whoa, okay. So my grandma was right when she was always on me about my posture. She'd say, stand tall, it makes you look and feel confident.
Smart lady.
Blah.
Because she was totally onto something. Remember we were talking about power posing? This is why it works. It's not just about looking good for other people. It's sending a message to your own brain.
Okay, so we've tackled that inner critic. We're working on our power poses. What's next in this confidence toolkit we're building?
Well, all the articles talked about building social muscles, and I kind of love that phrase.
I do too. Like,
Yeah.
we got to exercise those social skills just like going to the gym, right?
Exactly. And the good news is you don't got to become a party animal overnight. Start small. The Awaken the Change article suggested stuff like just chatting with cashiers, telling someone you like their outfit, even practicing introductions in the mirror sounds silly, but it helps.
I used to think those little interactions didn't matter, but they're like practice for the bigger conversations.
Totally. The Skills You Need article actually called it exposure therapy. The more you put yourself in situations that make you a little uneasy, the less scary they become over time.
It's like feel the fear, but do it anyway, right?
Mhm.
Just maybe not jumping into public speaking right off the bat.
Exactly. Baby steps. Now, here's something I found really interesting. Both the WikiHow and Skills You Need pieces talked about how important curiosity is in social situations.
Curiosity. That's not usually my go-to when I'm feeling awkward.
Right, but think about it. If you shift your focus to being genuinely interested in the other person, it takes the pressure off you. Plus, let's be real, people love to talk about themselves.
Oh, 100%. Guilty as charged.
Right. So instead of dreading small talk, think of it as a chance to maybe learn something new about someone. You never know. They might have a cool hobby, some hidden talent. It's kind of like a mini adventure, that conversation.
I love that. Okay, so instead of dreading it, I'm going to think of it like a mini adventure. I like
Well,
it.
there you go. And that actually ties into being a good listener, being empathetic, which, guess what? Those also help you come across as more confident.
It all connects. Now, before we wrap things up completely, there was this one part in the 7 Ways to Overcome Social Anxiety article that really struck me. It was about how sometimes feeling socially drained isn't even about you, it's about the people you're around.
Oh, that's so true. It's easy to think, what's wrong with me? Why am I so bad at this? But sometimes it's the environment, not you at all.
Right. Like that saying, You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Hmm.
If you're surrounded by negativity, it's going to rub off,
Oh,
right?
100%. That's why having a good support system is so crucial. People who get you, who value you, who you can be yourself around, those people are gold. Especially if you struggle with social anxiety.
Yeah.
Like, build your own hype squad.
It's so true. Sometimes you forget that, like you don't have to figure it all out on your own.
Not at all. And if those social anxiety things are really getting in your way, that article mentioned therapy too, which makes sense. Having someone to talk to who gets it, who can help you set boundaries, especially if you've had some rough experiences in the past, that can be huge.
For sure. Like asking for help is strong, not weak,
Hmm.
right? Nobody just magically has all the answers.
Exactly. And you know what? It really is like building a toolkit, like we were saying before. We've got all these different things we can try, telling that negative voice to chill out, striking a power pose, getting out there and practicing, remembering to be curious about people, and making sure we've got good people in our corner. Maybe not every tool works every time, but
True.
at least we've got options, right?
I'm all about options. So we've got our confidence toolkit all stocked up. What now?
Well, the thing to remember is confidence. It's a journey, not a destination. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like some days you feel it, some days you don't.
Exactly. The important thing is to just keep practicing, even when it feels a bit awkward, a bit uncomfortable. Every time you put yourself out there, it's like you're getting stronger, more confident.
Just like with anything else, got to put in the reps.
100%. And remember, you don't have to go from 0 to 60 in a day. Start small, notice the little wins you get, and don't be afraid to be kind to yourself along the way.
Be kind to yourself. Love that. Okay, so we covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. But before we go, one last thing to leave everyone with. We talked about how confidence comes from taking action, from putting ourselves out there, even when it feels a bit scary. So my challenge for everyone listening is, what's one small thing you can do today? Just one thing, to step outside that comfort zone a little bit.
Such a good question.
Could be as simple as actually talking to that coworker you always think about saying hi to, or sending that text you've been putting off. Heck, even just making eye contact with someone new and smiling. Those little things add up. They really do.
Absolutely. And anytime you find yourself feeling stuck or unsure, come back to this conversation, revisit some of these ideas. It's all here for you.
Exactly. Keep exploring, keep growing, and most importantly, keep believing in yourself. Until next time, happy socializing, everyone.